So, Ondrea, did you and Marcellus ever have that conversation? I mean, at any point ever, did he admit? Because I remember one part of the book where, well, I don't want to tell everything. I mean, you have to buy the book. But, so I want to leave some things out. But I guess, did you all ever have that conversation?
There were times where I initiated that conversation, but it never happened.
Oh, so you would go there. You would, tell us how you would kind of bring it up.
Well, there were issues with certain friends he had. So, you know, I would bring it up and voice my concern in terms of his relationship, you know, with certain people.
But that's not telling them. That's not like having the conversation. That's like dancing, beating around the bush.
Well, that would ease into the conversation. So, you know, I would get there and, you know, basically question his sexuality, you know, because of his relationship with, you know.
But you wouldn't just go out and just say,
no,
Marcellus, are you gay? That's what I found myself wanting you to do.
Well, that was done early on.
Okay.
That conversation was had early on.
Okay.
But once different things started, you know, spiraling out of control, because we had already had that conversation, I didn't feel, you know, it necessary to go back and have that. You already gave your answer.
Right. Would he just kind of maybe just ignore it? He would just let it just fly over him.
Well, he would find ways to
dance.
He would find ways to dance around.
Now, were you good with what you were getting? You know, was that enough at the moment? You know, because it would always be something else later down the line, I'm sure. But were you good with it when he would give you whatever that was? You know, whatever that answer was.
Well, at that moment,
could you go to sleep and be okay for the night at least?
No, at that moment, it's not necessarily that the answer was good enough for me. I think I was dealing with so many emotional issues myself.
Okay.
So when you're in this type of situation, it's so much going on mentally and emotionally that you may not be prepared to continue to address a certain issue until it gets to the end and you get that answer. I'm the type of person that if I ask you, then I expect an answer, an honest answer. Right. If you want to dance around it and have to spend so much time dancing around it, you know, that kind of, it gives a wear and tear, you know, on you. And so you don't want to.
Most definitely. You know, I found myself, you know, as far as him being molested, because I think that's a very convenient, you know, way to lay it out. Somebody asks you, you know, why are you gay, what happened, whatever. I was molested. I've heard this before. Was he really? I mean, I remember Shannon kind of blowing that out of the water a little bit.
So was it?
so that was never. I mean, that never came up again.
No, it never.
That's just one of those things that was just kind of okay, gotcha. So, Jason, you know, as the writer here, what message would you like the readers to walk away with from this book?
Wow.
How could my husband be gay?
I think there are a lot of things I'd like people to walk away with, but I think the most important thing is to realize that God has given us this wonderful gift called discernment, and it's mental. And I think people a lot of times think with their hearts as opposed to thinking with their minds. And I think if we think with our minds and really take the time to really get to know someone, we can avoid a lot of the things that we learn or we think we know after the fact. Because a lot of the things that we learn after the fact, we already knew. We just ignored it. So I just think if we just take the time to really get to know someone, because the book is about relationships and deception, really. And I think just taking the time to really get to know the person that we want to make our mate.
So true.
Yeah.
That's good. Ondrea, how will or has this experience, I'm sure, affected future relationships for you?
Well, it definitely has taught me to open up my eyes and pay attention. Never again will I just fall so madly in love that I, you know, ignore different things that I could see as a potential problem down the road. Another thing that I've asked God to help me with is not to carry the baggage from this into another relationship
so good.
Because, you know, he doesn't deserve that.
That's so true.
So I definitely don't want to do that. It's enough, you know, baggage to deal with the situation as it is, bringing 3 children into the marriage and, you know, whatever other things that, you know, we'll have to deal with together. But I definitely don't want to attribute, you know, anguish and pain and deception that happened with one person, you know, toward another.
And that's good. And I think that's good for all women, all men to take heed to. It's just, and I tell my girlfriends and my children all the time, you know, start with each relationship. Each relationship is different. And you will not heal, I mean, if you don't do that. I mean, because, you know, everybody, you know, just start from day one. And don't talk about it. Don't talk about what you've been through, you know, because that's important too.
Well,
I mean, I think at some point
I think it may be beneficial to talk about it because your experiences mold you into who you are.
Yeah, but talk about it and leave it. I mean, you know, I mean, because I think if you just continue to
because you don't carry it over and keep on rehashing.
So true, because and this was rough. You know, this is the rough one because you know I just found myself wondering if you know what you were more angry about, because you know I was like, well, would you be more angry about the fact that he's, you know, married to you and he's gay, or he's cheating, or are you mad? I mean, what are you more mad about, that is a man or a woman? Would you be, I always wondered about that. Would you be more mad about the fact that it's a man that he's with or want to be with, or another woman?
Now for me,
yes,
it doesn't matter whether it was a man or a woman. The vows were taken with me.
There you go.
So, you know, for you to disrespect the vows you know, took with me, whether it's a man or woman, it doesn't matter. It's disrespectful. And, you know, my ultimate, you know, thing is just be honest. Just be honest from the beginning, you know, and don't try to suppress so many feelings or issues or experiences that have happened, because you bring that into a relationship. So, you know, it's not, he's gay, okay, you know. Whether it was a man or a woman, you still cheated on me. And, you know, the love that I had for you, you deceived and betrayed, you know, the love that I had. So I feel like I lost years, you know, the years that I had, you know, the love that I gave. It was just betrayal. It's just a big feeling of betrayal.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, you know, what that issue is.
Okay. And so, again, and we might have talked about this before, but I want to reiterate this. What should the reader, and particularly let's reach out to the female readers, take from your book? What do you know, we talk about the red flags. And I thought you did a very good job picking up those red flags. And now I understand from talking to you why you kind of like, okay, I see them. Because I don't think they ever left you. I mean, it's like, I really believe, you know, reading through the book, I'm like, yeah, she knows. So that's half the battle. Right. Is knowing, and then trying to figure out what to do now that you have these children and, you know, this responsibility. You weren't working, you know, things like that. So what good piece of advice can you give the female reader out there?
Well, I think the piece of advice that I would want them to take away the most is, like I said before, open up your eyes. Don't be so engrossed into another person that you end up losing yourself in so much love that you don't acknowledge those things about yourself or about the other person that could cause problems down the road. So, you know, just basically paying attention, the vibes that you may get, you know, the thoughts, the gut feelings that, you know, you may get. Just pay attention to it. At least address them. Never ignore them. At least address them, so that way, you know, moving forward, that you have addressed them.
That's true. And that's a really, really good advice. So, I think, Ondrea and Jason, I think this has been a very, very good interview. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And you're so welcome. And we look so forward to the release of your book, How Could My Husband Be Gay?, on January 11, 2011. You can pre-order your book on www.foresightpublishing.com. And please stay tuned for the next segment of the Kitty Jones Show. Until then, live, love, and inspire.